Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show, Costa. Well, Peter, thoroughly modern Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is back in the news. A new book has just been published, co-authored by Bob Woodward and Bob Costa. They're both Washington Post reporters. And they make a number of startling assertions in the book. First of all, that in the aftermath of January the 6th, Milley had got on to on the phone, or no, had got on to the National Military Command Center and told them not to obey any orders at all unless they were coming from him. In other words, to ignore anything that was coming from the president. Then also asserted that he talked to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, and assured her that Trump wouldn't do anything crazy because he, Milley, would make sure that nothing like that could ever happen. And most seriously, there's the assertion that he got in touch with his counterpart in China, the top military person in China, and said that if there's any attack from the United States on China, in other words, if Trump orders some kind of an attack, he, Milley, would give them advance warning. So, first of all, we have the number of things that we can say. I mean, first of all, we don't know whether any of this is true. It is significant, though, that as far as I know, Milley has not denied these claims, which are already causing quite a sensation in the United States. So that's one thing. The other thing is that this really is a coup. I mean, there's no other way to go around it. This is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who incidentally, and this is a point that was made by Colonel McGregor yesterday on Tucker Carlson. He isn't in the chain of command. He actually is an advisor to the president. He just presents options to the president. So he has absolutely no right to be countermanding any orders from the president. And he has no business telling other generals that they're not to listen to any orders unless they're actually coming from him. So there's that. But there's something about this that seems plausible. Milley, thoroughly modern Milley, has already on the record going around saying that, likening Trump to Hitler, Trump supporters to the brown shirts. He made all those wild assertions when he was testifying before the Senate. So that there's certainly an aura of plausibility about it. You would think that the Republicans would immediately, like right now, demand that Milley come before Congress and testify, and say, is this true? Because this is a very serious charges, and you can't just let it go as, oh, well, hey, it's just the Washington Post. Anyway, Peter, what do you think?
Yeah, they made films about it, but it was fiction, folks.
Right. It
wasn't real, okay? It was fiction. And this has haunted the American political establishment. The founders worried about this, okay? And you always worry about the military trying to usurp power. It's never happened, maybe until now. My first reaction to this whole story is that I agree with you. I think it's very plausible. But with these two writers, they may have a spin that they want to present. I mean, all of these events may have happened, but they're spinning it in a certain way to give a certain impression. We have to wait and see. I hope he's being called in front of Congress to explain himself. But my first reaction was how gleeful the liberal media was. I find that really astounding, George.
Right.
Is that they're cheering on? Yes, there was a coup. They never would use that word, but it's the appropriate word, historically speaking. Right. So they give praise to this man, a crazed man. Okay, he doesn't have the capacity to order anything. He's an advisor, Joint Chief of Staff. It sounds really, really highfalutin. He's an advisor.
Right.
Okay, so having control of the nuclear codes and all that, that's, again, that's like from fantasy Hollywood land, okay? Because that's not the case.
Right.
Another thing, maybe just kind of peculiar for you and I and our viewers, George, is that Milley, if the story is true, he called the Chinese. He didn't call the Russians, did he?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all of these years of Russophobia and Russia's a threat to our democracy, Russia's a threat. Nope. The call went somewhere else.
Right,
okay.
Right.
Which I thought was really quite interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
Another thing is, if true, the Chinese must think the American political establishment have lost their minds. Really?
Right.
I mean, if true, Milley showed his cards.
Yes.
This guy, when you say everything is calm and control, that means, the fact that you're saying it means it's not calm and in control, because you wouldn't have said it otherwise.
That's right. No,
I've never seen a situation where, an adversary showed their cards so absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually made a promise to work against their own national interests.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Now, to be honest, all of this is on the part of Milley, total fantasy land, because even if you read the reports, like you read it in CNN and other places, when Milley says, "Oh, Trump's gone crazy," and then as an example of Trump's gone crazy, he cites, "Oh, Trump is planning to withdraw all American forces from Afghanistan by January the 5th." Well, that's not a sign of craziness. That sounds like he just wants to get it out of the way and actually doing a favor for the next administration. Hey, it's all on my watch, and I'm going to end it. So for him to cite this as an example of Trump's craziness shows where he's coming from. Because the fact is that Trump has not been a warlike president. I mean, again, as people said, he hasn't started any new wars. First president in a long time who hasn't started any new wars. Yes, he's been hostile to China, but he's never talked in any way about launching wars with China. It was all about trade, about COVID, but the idea that he was going to contemplating war with China. So this is all just deliberately made up by Milley, by Pelosi, essentially to organize a coup. That's their justification for the coup. Oh, Trump might do something really crazy, when actually there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever that Trump would ever contemplate doing something so idiotic.
We know that Bolton set him up to go to war with Iran, and at the last second, Trump pulled the plug. Nope, we're not going there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, I mean, it was a layup. I mean, perfectly done, choreographed. That was it, and Trump stood back. Again,
happened twice, incidentally, because it happened the time when with that drone, when they shot down the drone.
Exactly.
He didn't escape. But the second time was, you remember when the Iranians retaliated against the United States in Iraq following the Soleimani assassination, and basically he just hit American soldiers. Everyone thought, that's it, he's going to retaliate against Iran. He stood back and he did not retaliate. He just took a blow and did not retaliate. So again, he stepped back from any escalation.
But isn't it just vaguely reminiscent of the Vindman situation? Right. Because Trump is crazy out of his mind because of a policy decision that he campaigned on. I mean, it's not like he woke up and said, "Hey," or somebody sent him some encrypted message, "Get out of Afghanistan." Right. No, he's been talking about this for a long time. Okay. Right. And so again, Trump hesitated with Ukraine. Trump is hesitating. No, that's the prerogative of the president of the United States.
Right.
And not some flunky in the middle of the chain of command, or even the Joint Chief.
But notice how each time this happens, when this the deep state or the interagency consensus, they're always going after Trump when precisely he's not belligerent enough for them. So with Vindman, hey, he's holding up this $500 million worth of military hardware for Ukraine, or the others, oh, he wants to withdraw from Syria. Oh my God. And here with Milley, he wants to withdraw from Afghanistan, right away. So this is what they really objected to. but they lie and deliberately present it as if Trump is so crazy, he wants to go to war with China, which is exact opposite. And again, they also didn't like his overtures to North Korea. So all of these things, all of the things that Trump did, which they didn't like, and now they pretend, oh, it's because he's planning to go to war and we're trying to restrain him.
You know, they always talk about returning to norms and all of this. I mean, Trump, other than just tweeting, you know, bad tweets from time to time, all the time sometimes, policy-wise, Trump was very, very hesitant and very, very moderate.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, like we'll put more sanctions on Venezuela, but there was talk about some kind of military. No.
Exactly.
No. Okay, maybe go after their gold or something, but no. We're not going down that path.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, I'm not absolving of bad foreign policy decisions made during the Trump administration, which were made. Okay. But when it comes to a hot war, Trump had a complete aversion to it. And so, and because he had such an aversion to it, he's a danger to national security.
Exactly. That's what they objected to. The only time they offered him any praise was precisely when he launched his missile attacks on Syria. And of course, when he assassinated Soleimani, I didn't hear anyone offering any criticism. They were okay, fine. He's
except for maybe you and I.
Right, exactly. Other than us, but as far as the mainstream media was concerned, kind of, okay, all in the day's work. They never objected to that. So this is all a lie in order to justify what Milley and Pelosi were doing. And I think that is a very serious business, because this was a coup. This is no question. This was a coup that they were organizing.
Let's look at this forensically, everyone. Let's take all of the names out, okay? Forget the names. But when the Joint Chief of Staff is plotting against a sitting president, that is called treason, and there's no other word for it.
Right.
Okay, let's take out the name. Let's just look at the process here. This is completely verboten, and it is not part of the tradition. And it is something, like I said, it has haunted political institutions. And we need more information. May have the first time in American history where the military tried to overturn the and take out of power a duly elected president.
But of course,
this is a serious business.
It's a very serious business, but it comes, as part of a continuity when you had the CIA, the FBI, the intelligence agencies of the U.S. government attempting to overthrow, one way or another, the duly elected president. I mean, we know this. We know that Russiagate was a hoax perpetrated by the intelligence services. They knew perfectly well this was a total fraud. They knew the Steele dossier was absolute rubbish, but they did this step by step. Comey cheerfully admitted, hey, I wanted a special prosecutor to be appointed. I knew it was all nonsense. I wanted a special prosecutor. So I engineered a series of actions, like I wrote these little notes after my meeting and then sent these notes to my friend in order to trigger the appointment of a special prosecutor, in order to trigger an impeachment. This is so, and again, the media, as you say, we're cheering us on. Great. These are the people who are saving us, saving our republic. Bill Kristol and others were saying, oh, they're saving us.
You know what I was thinking this morning, because I knew we were going to do this today. Let me give you an historical example, a real one. Go back in time when the Reichstag was burned to the ground. And then, Hitler and the Nazis demanded extraordinary power, basically to destroy the Weimar Republic. The equivalent is of CNN is saying, good, it's good for security, it's good for democracy. Right. This is what it is. Right. I mean, they're cheering on them, one of the most dangerous anti-constitutional projects ever. Okay. And then you have an unelected official, Milley, colluding with another branch of government, right. Congress, right. Okay? And the last time we came across Milley outside of the white rage thing, he was outraged that Trump was contemplating firing the CIA director.
That's it. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But now we have this story now. That's an interesting piece, because I remember when I came across that, I thought, that's kind of a weird story.
Right.
It just kind of, it hangs there by itself. I don't know what's going on. Why was Milley so defensive about, the CIA director? Well, this story adds a few pieces to it because the CIA was informed of what he was doing.
Yes, exactly. And Gina Haspel plays a role in this. I mean, just from the excerpts that we've read, we're saying, oh, this is a right-wing coup. So she's obviously egging on Milley's shenanigans. Let's remember what Gina Haspel did. Remember after the Skripals, when the British were pressing everyone to to expel diplomats, Trump wasn't really very impressed by this. He didn't say, well, why should we do this? I mean, I'm not sure I find all of this terribly plausible. And Gina Haspel went to his office and came up with this absolute lie, which is, oh, what about these ducks? There were all these ducks that were poisoned. And Trump, just like with the babies in Syria, oh, ducks. Hey, I don't like ducks. Anyone poisoning ducks, and he went along with this, and he expelled 60 Russian diplomats. And even then, I think he wasn't fully aware that the number was 60. I think again he was kind of deceived by the actual number because he didn't realize he was expelling that many. But Haspel clearly lied. I mean, this was just absolute outrage. There was nowhere, anywhere, any report of dead ducks.
Yeah. And so when that story surfaced a few months ago, and now with this one here, we're possibly, again, everything is conditional here on this video right now until we learn more. But it looks like the entire machinery of the state was put into play, and everybody knew their role to play. And and the ringleader was the Joint Chief of Staff, unelected. Nothing more. There's no statutory power there other than just advising the president.
That's right. Yeah. But it's very interesting that you recall that episode with the CIA director. I can't remember who was it. It was somebody that he confronted. Was it the White House Chief of Staff?
Right.
He confronted him. What the hell is this? What's it got to do with you? I mean, it's like where do you come into it? But of course, you're right. That it does fall into place. All of the jigsaw pieces. And again, I mean, we've talked about before about that great film from the 1960s, 7 Days in May. Very similar scenario. Again, general, you got this sort of CIA, and then you've got these friendly legislators colluding with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Again, he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, played by that very sinister General Scott, played by Burt Lancaster.
But see, on one level, as we know, as being reported by this investigative report, it seems more and more plausible that there was a very elaborate conspiracy. Because on the one hand, you can just have somebody firing off their mouth. Well, I said that to him, and and I made some calls. I mean, it could be like, you know what I mean, like bar talk.
Right.
I remember when I took down the president. Okay,
right.
But now we see plausible connections where people were actually reacting to directives, and that's what gives it it's putting some flesh on the bones.
Exactly. No, I agree, because it's clear that there were telephone calls involved. Those things can be checked. I mean, telephones. I mean, he makes a telephone call to his counterpart in China. There's a record of that. I mean, so we can know about that. This meeting, this is a big meeting with the military. I think what it was, it's called the Military National Command Center. That's a big deal. There are records of that. That's not something you can just make up. You're right.
Who was present, and there's going to be a roster who was there. And according to the reporting, again, these people love to embellish. They like to form a narrative that's self-serving and sells books. Okay, but apparently Milley looked them all in the eye, one after another.
That's it. Yeah. No, they will know, because they are there. This is the kind of thing that is very easy to check. It's not like you can just sort of make something up, as you say. I said this and this to him in the corridor, and there's no record of it. This is, senior top commanders were at this meeting, so therefore there's a record of this meeting. There's a record of what Milley said, and we know who exactly attended this. So this can easily be checked, and that's why there's definitely a strong note of truth in all of this. Now, I don't think much of Woodward. I don't think much of Woodward's books, and I think I think it's all a lot of nonsense. But I think in this case, and the fact that Milley has maintained, as while we're recording this, a silence, that speaks volumes. You think he'd rush out and deny this? No, nothing like this ever happened.
We all know when Trump made the deal with the Taliban for the American withdrawal from Afghanistan, it was May 1st was the initial date. Okay, so these are, to quote Rumsfeld, known knowns.
Yeah.
So General Milley, is this how you spent your time overthrowing the president? Yes. When you know there's a deadline, a looming? So this is where you invest your time and your interests,
right?
Okay?
Right.
And your own personal interests, presumably. So as the deadline is looming, on your desk, what is the file about withdrawal? Is it like this thick or this thick, or is it even on your desk? Or are you just calling your counterpart in China?
Yes, no, that's
right.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. They had, there's been a long, they had a long notice period. That was in February 2020 when they signed the agreement in Doha, and it does seem like this is what Milley was preoccupying with this. I mean, what he's worrying about. The Gina Haspel is going to be replaced. He's worrying about, domestic affairs. The president was walking to the church, and I was accompanying him, and and this is something he's concerned with. He's worrying about Trump's supporters, brown shirts. This is person, the one thing he's not worrying about is what should be right on his desk. But you can see, he said, "Oh, this is terrible." He was planning to leave by January the 5th. Well, anyone else would say, "Hey, this is a really, that's a very honorable thing to do." It's all happening on his watch.
All the while that the Taliban is reading the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN, and saying, "General Milley's he's out to lunch. He's busy. Right, come on, boys, the fighting season has started."
Right.
You don't have to worry about him.
Right, yeah, that's right. It's a kind of a very interesting insight into decision making in the United States. I mean, you have a president, and apparently you have top generals who feel that they are far more important than the president. We already had that sense during the second impeachment, when you had a lieutenant colonel who apparently thought he was far more important than the president.
Or didn't Milley learn from McChrystal?
Yeah. I mean, and in fact, if you read these accounts, I mean, if you read the report in CNN and other places, they're all kind of indignant that somehow Trump was doing an end run around the generals. You think, Trump is the elected leader. He's the one who's been entrusted with national security. But they don't know what this is. It's so ingrained now in the thinking of the media. Well, this is a terrible person, Trump. What's he doing an end run around the generals? I mean, of course, Milley is a far more important person than just Trump. He's just a real estate person. I mean, Milley is the person who knows about these national security things. It's an amazing how the lack of any understanding of what democratic governance is about.
But if this can be proven to have actually happened, which I believe personally is very plausible.
I think so too.
Okay. And you have this kind of media reaction, bar Fox was different. And the McGregor interview with Tucker, I can't get Fox Nation here where I am. If somebody put in a bootleg link down below, okay, I'd like to see it. But if this is just if they just let this go, this is something that this is an ambiguity that will be accepted, that at the end of the day, the military can decide. And the precedent is, well, Milley did it to Trump. Right. You can't let this stand. No. I mean, something has to be resolved here.
Right. No, I agree. But the problem was that nothing was resolved over Russiagate. I mean, that it was allowed to stand. I mean, it just like, with, oh, well, okay, well, we had the top intelligence, they tried to overthrow the president based on a hoax. Oh, well, ho-hum, them's the breaks. Oh, let's go on to the next impeachment. Let's make up some nonsense about Ukraine. And then everything is already quietly forgotten. But that's a very serious thing. I mean, what Obama did to Trump, the involvement of the top intelligence services. I mean, this is serious business. And yet it was just simply, allowed to disappear.
See, this is one of the foundational issues that George and I have here at the Gaggle, is that, and it's becoming more and more apparent that the rhetoric of democracy, the rhetoric of, of rights, the rhetoric of inclusivity, it's all a crock. It's all fake. Because when you pull the curtain, you pull the veil away, you actually see what's going on here. Right. It has nothing to do about lofty ideas. Right. It's about power. Yep. And to maintain power and to preserve power. Right. And all these other issues are just special effects that they're constantly dangling in front of you.
Right, right. I mean, I agree. And I think that there's no question that 2015, 2016, Trump posed a serious threat to the power of whatever you call the shorthand, the deep state, and they went after him, and they're still going after him. I mean, in other words, they thought that he posed a real challenge. Bush talked about, kind of gentler. That was the first Bush, and then Bush said, "Oh, we got to get out of the nation building business." Humbler. That was the word. George W. Bush, a humbler America. Obama talked about stupid wars. They never felt threatened by that. They knew this is just crap you put out at election time, in order to win votes. They thought Trump was serious. And as you say, Trump actually pursued a fairly moderate policy. He didn't really shake things up. The fact that he hired people like Gina Haspel, John Bolton, yeah, exactly, show that he really wasn't shaking things up. So, but nonetheless, they always had a suspicion that underneath it all, he might sort of ask awkward questions, like, what the hell is NATO for anyway? I mean, I don't, why do we still keep this thing?
But if you look at the rhetorical ploys that these people always play, remember the adults in the room thing, that meme? Well, everybody with this story, again, with the caveat, if it's true, this is what the adults in the room do.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This is what they, and you know what? They don't give a shit about you.
That's right. That's right. They don't. No, they really don't. They absolutely don't. They think, we are the permanent government, and we make the decisions. I mean, it's when Vindman, Milley, and the rest of them, Haspel, they're far more important. The politicians, they come and go. Who cares about elections? We're here permanently. No one votes for us. Means no one votes us in, but no one votes us out. We're here, we make the decision. And of course, that completely vitiates democracy. I mean, democracy has to be about accountability to the people.
Can determine if an election is real or not.
Right.
Okay. We'll determine the rules. We can even change the rules in the middle of the game.
Right.
Nothing you can do about it. All right.
Right. Yeah.
Always voting for change. And this is one of the things that I always ask people to ponder, maybe over a glass of wine, is that when people vote for change, why do things never change? Right. That's because it's always about vested interest and maintaining power, and they'll come, who knows, with the 2022 midterms, we're going to come out with a phrase that everyone's going to be, what about this? What about, and they'll all be arguing over something, which would be create an artificial binary, and then business as usual is going on behind the curtain. Okay. Let the peasants fight it out. Okay.
That's it. That's fair enough.
All right. We're going to keep a really close eye on this. Again, I think George is right. We have to see if Milley's going to have some kind of statement. If he's going
and if he doesn't, then
bar talk. Okay.
You have to, and then you have to summon him. You have to summon him to testify on the Hill. He can't just simply hold that job and just let this go. He has to come and basically either confirm or deny that this happened.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I want to stress here is his calculation is, I can get away with it. Okay.
This is calculation, no question.
It is a calculation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because everybody can think about this. People, you know, when people say conspiracy theories and all of that. Well, I mean, when two people are in on something, there's a liability. There's two people. Okay. When you had 3, 4, 5, 100, 200, then you really have a leak issue. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, if Milley's spouting off here like Pinochet or something like that, because that's what he looks like, a tin pot dictator. Okay. Is he thinking, yeah, I can get away with this. Nobody's gonna turn me in here. Okay, we're gonna see. This is a very interesting gambit. This is how power works. Okay, I mean, the initial response from the liberal media was bravo, which should scare everyone.
That's right, bravo. Yeah, that's right. And I think that and it could well be that if he does come to testify on the Hill, well, the Democrats will run interference for him. General Milley, how concerned were you that an unstable President Trump might launch a nuclear war? Well, Senator, I was very concerned. There were a lot of bad signs. I mean, the Democrats will be feeding him all of these wonderful questions, and he'll be, knocking them out of the park. So, let's go. He knows how to play the game.
It'll be up to the Republicans if they can actually have, their faculties together, because there are a lot of really good questions to ask here. A lot of really good
many questions. Yeah.
So, I mean, for George and I, at the end of the day, if we have to put all our eggs in the Republican Party basket, that's a risk I really don't like taking.
No, you don't.
Never count on these people. I mean, they will fail you more times than not.
I agree.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on this, obviously, here. So we're on Local, so please go to thegaggle.locals.com. George, you have your next slide.
Yes, exactly. We have a Locals live stream tonight. Tonight. It's tonight for me, tonight for you, Peter, but middle of the day on the Eastern Coast. So it's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That's right. Okay, call Uber, have your lunch delivered. Okay.
Exactly. That's right. You got to stay. Don't go out and sort of if we get your lunch. Forget that. Just stay.
All right. And we also have the Gaggle store up. We talked with Kira earlier today. Some new items, winter items, are going to be soon be displayed for your consumption, and some really nice hats for the winter and scarves. That's really cool. We did it. We're continuing our Q&As. We did it one yesterday, or day before yesterday.
Yeah, the day before, yeah.
And if you want to talk to us on Zoom, please feel free to do it. Just go to the Locals page and you can find out how to do that. And on Friday, we have a super chat.
Super chats, exactly.
We got the bugs out.
The bugs are out. Noon Eastern Standard Time. So again, no lunch this week. So just.
Leftovers. Okay. And of course we have the tip jar. Buddy, do you want to talk about the tip jar? Okay, yeah, you do. Okay. Because Robbie decided to intervene.
Oh, intervene. Okay.
Robbie's the interventionist dog.
Okay. All right. So but I think he's also concerned about the state of the tip jar.
He's concerned because Buddy's concerned.
Exactly. So
Buddy's in a bad mood. He's afraid.
Exactly. So he has to pick up the slack. I'm glad somebody's picking up the slack. But the tip jar, as dangerously denuded of any funds. So
we like heavy metal. Okay.
Exactly. So if you can, whatever you can do to help, whatever contribution you can make, we're most appreciative. We don't have billionaires taking care of our bills, so and we rely on the kindness and generosity of fellow gagglers. So we're very appreciative, and the more you can help, the better the product will be. And remember, if you like the Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.